Forest. We're seeing two of them take the floor. Megan Jebiel on the other side for Wake Forest. Had an incredible year and career with American. Talked about the relationships that she needs to build within this program. This is a program with Wake Forest that understands what it takes to be and play in postseason. And talking to Jewel Spear, she said, we knew that she's a winner, and that's what we're trying to do, trying to establish that during her tenure.
Well, there's a couple things for Wake Forest. Number one is they're going to have to be really good in transition on their defensive end, and that conversion from offense to D, because Virginia's a downhill team offensively. And for UVA, you see they get three sides, they move the ball, they get a good shot. That's the offense that we expect to see out of them.
Empty possession for the Cavaliers. Wake Forest now trying to be the first on the board.
Both teams start in man-to-man defense.
Samiel from deep.
And others are going to have to be able to score, because to start the game, Virginia is face guarding Jewel Spear, which means that defender is going to have one responsibility, and that is to make it difficult and try not to let Jewel Spear catch the ball. Here she is in transition. You got to get on her quickly.
That's where she gets most of her points, at the top of the key. The pull-up has been asked to be a facilitator as well. Throws that one away. Bobbled around a bit, but the Cavaliers come out. Camryn Taylor running the break. Can't quite connect on the twos. Williams slows things down. Jewel Spear might have had something underneath. That's waved off.
This is a new offense for these returning players for Wake Forest. And when you get under 10, this is who you want to have the ball. Jewel Spear playing off that ball screen, and that is why.
Three-point basket, Jewel Spear.
Good clock management late in the possession.
And that's why she was the reigning ACC scorer in her sophomore season. Valladay to the rim, couldn't quite connect.
Two layups that Virginia has missed early on.
Going to be called for
Traveling
a travel.
violation. Cavalier basketball.
Now we should mention Kaya Harrison, who's been the starting point guard for Wake Forest, not available to play today with a lower leg injury. So she is listed as day-to-day right now. They hope to get her back soon.
We were speaking with their SID. We may see her in this game. Coach's decision. So not completely ruled out, but as you mentioned, just a little bit of a different rotation for Wake Forest, with Alexandria Scruggs getting her first start of the season, and for great reason. She's been so impressive in the first two games, coming off of the bench, scoring in double figures. So they just wanted to make sure the clock was right at the time of the travel. Seems like everything is set. Our officials, Dee Cantor, Tierra Cruz, and Jeffrey Smith on the call. As now Virginia's on the board.
One of the things that Coach Mox is excellent at is game calling, game play call inside games. And that's exactly what they did on that mismatch with Mira McLean. They have an advantage, and they took advantage of it.
McLean gets her first start of the season as well. Another possession for Wake Forest. Late in the shot clock, that three can't go down. Valladay pulls up, mid-range, short. Samiel brings down the rebound, and we're seeing a little bit of that slow tempo because of great transition defense.
Now look in the bottom of your screen. Kaydan Lawson is face guarding Jewel Spear. See, she's got only one responsibility. She doesn't even know where the ball is right now. She's trying to keep Jewel Spear from catching. And what that can do is it can throw off your timing. It takes your number one option out of the game defensively. If you're Virginia trying to take that number one option out, it's a really good strategy, I think, to start the game, to try to force others to make plays.
And has led to the third turnover for Wake Forest as well.
Well, Wake Forest comes into the game averaging more turnovers than their opponents.
And how about Brunelle? Faces up and knocks it down.
Well, if you're a fan of the ACC, you certainly are familiar with Sam Brunelle, who graduated from Notre Dame and is doing her graduate work here at Virginia.
She said this was always going to be home, whether she was playing here or not. Has been able to shine and have that support from her home fan base as well. That one's going to be scrambled on the floor, so we have a jump ball, and the possession is going to send it to Wake Forest.
Possession arrow in
Sam
favor of Wake
Brunelle is a
Forest.
fantastic shooter. She has three-point range beyond the arc. She was a McDonald's All-American coming out of high school. Ruckersville, Virginia is not too far from here. Gets a home-cooked meal once in a while.
I would say so, and I'm a little jealous. I got word that you're invited over, too, so that little list is going to be very interesting. I don't know. What do I have to do to get an invite?
I don't know, Angelo. You got to keep working. Just keep working. No. I can't wait to go over to the Brunelle household for pork chops, mashed potatoes, and green beans.
I talked about an early Christmas. You have an early Thanksgiving. My goodness.
I'll be ready. When the Brunelles are ready for me, I'm ready.
It's another turnover for Wake Forest. They do have the two-point lead, trying to slow Virginia down. Known for their offense, Taylor denied at the rim. Valladay up top for the three, gets it to go.
Well, really good D to bring the double. Camryn Taylor showing good patience out of the double team, and then Valladay knocking it down.
I think something that you mentioned, just the patience that you saw within their offense as well. 5 scores, averaging double figures through the first 2 games. So the balance attack for Virginia has been tip-top.
Now Alexia Smith, number 23 in white, will have her chance to face guard Jewel Spear.
And
Jewel Spear is looking at the officials saying, hey, are you watching the physicality off the ball? Because you're just trying to set the tone early if you're Jewel Spear. And what Virginia's trying to do is mix the number of people on her, make Jewel Spear work. It's not a wear-down effort in the first quarter, but it could have an effect in the fourth quarter.
And that was a key for Coach Gebbia coming into this one. Even overall in the season, she said there's more than Jewel Spear. Who else is going to step up, wanting that balance on the floor? Samiel kicks it out, works around the perimeter. Short shot clock again with 5. Williams for the 3, back iron. Valladay, pesky hands, tried to get one. Wake Forest comes back up with it in a fresh shot clock. Gonna call a block.
All right, November, block charge. Here we are. The hardest thing to call. You got to referee the defense.
Cavalier team foul.
So that's a block call. They'll step away. We'll do the same. An early lead right now for Virginia.
Auto owners, insures your car. Because sometimes something from out of...
Well, Virginia with the early lead, 1-point lead over Wake Forest. And right now, Jewel Spear trying to get into somewhat of a rhythm. The first few games averaging double figures. Last year, the scoring leader. But it's been a test and a challenge for her to get a good look so far today.
Well, and they like to have her off the ball. And because of the way Virginia is face guarding her and trying to bust up the rhythm of the offense, let's see if there's a package for Jewel with the ball, because I believe that there is. Coach Gebbia has certainly put that together. We just haven't seen it yet. You don't show everything in the first quarter.
Right. You know, you wear so many hats, you know.
You got to save some stuff.
Wake Forest started off 2-2. Since then, have been 0-3 from the field. Talked about Spears just trying to get into a rhythm. Alexandra Scruggs gets the ball on the block.
They show zone on the out of bounds, and they go right back into their man-to-man defense. Look at Jewel Spear. You remember that line from the movie Hoosiers? I want to know what flavor gum she's chewing.
There it is. Well,
that's what I'm thinking.
You like offense, I love defense, and that's the type of intensity that you want to see. She has not looked at any other part of the arena. Smith with the Spear matchup right now. You can see the frustration on her face, just not having the ball in her hands. Alexandria Scruggs tried to get something going to the left and is short. Valladay denied at the rim by Becker.
See, this is what I think about Taylor Valladay's game. End to end, she might be one of the fastest players in the ACC with the ball in her hands. She should be a 10, 5, and 5 player, meaning 10 points, 5 boards, 5 assists. When she sees that kind of space and gets in the paint, sometimes you got to make a play for someone else.
She makes a play for herself, though, on that one. 2 trays for Valladay.
It's a catch-and-shoot 3 off the penetrating pass to the block, and then she relocates. It's a great time to take it.
Transferred in from Marquette.
3-point basket.
Samil with her second triple. That's an answer.
Only 2 players that have scored for Wake Forest, Samiel and Spear. Becker running the floor. Short on the layup. We're seeing the pace of this one pick up just a bit. Miller to the rim, gets the glass, and gets it to go.
Miller.
It's an aggressive, full court, attack the rim unless they stop you offense for Virginia right now.
That was high on the priority list for Coach Gebbia, saying transition is where they thrive. And another travel call. This one goes against Williams. Not too thrilled with the call, but nonetheless, it'll go back to the Cavaliers.
Andrews. She replaces number 32, Alexandria Scruggs.
The 5th turnover for Wake Forest.
Wake Forest right now has more turnovers than made baskets. And all of their baskets have come from outside the arc.
Brunelle tried to dial it up from deep. We'll say Andrews in now for Wake Forest.
I think this is where you miss your point guard, Harrison, because you're not having anyone get penetration inside the paint. Get a piece of the paint. And I think Jewel Spear needs to become a little bit more of a screener. She's got to stay active. She's got to keep moving. If you want to play 4-on-4, then Wake Forest should play 4-on-4.
It's a great point, just understanding if you're not getting the ball, how you can free up other people, still knowing that you're going to be a threat on the floor. Becker left alone, not her strong suit from deep. Spear finally gets the ball at the top of the key. She's got little time to work with, 4 on the shot clock. And that's going to be a hand check at the top of the key.
That is a point of emphasis once again. You can't put 2 hands on anybody. You can put one, you can check one bar, one hand, and then you can't put another one on. It's like that hot stove conversation of back in the day. If you had a back in the day, you'd know what I was talking about.
I feel like I'm getting up there, Debbie. I don't know. Feels like it. Just short. Wake Forest getting some really good looks at the rim, just haven't been able to convert. Elise Williams.
Well, both teams have played a schedule in front of them to this point that was winnable, and I think that's smart by both coaches coming in with new systems, new personnel, creating a new culture. There's a piece of the paint and an easy bucket.
Samiel gets another bucket underneath.
Making the score, Virginia 12.
Samiel has 8 points to lead Wake Forest.
So who steps up? That's what you were alluding to. That assist came from Nia Becker, who's really pushed the pace for the Deeks as well.
You better get high hands on Valladay. She's already made 2 triples.
If that would have gone down, I'm not sure what this arena would have done. Spear dishes it off. How about that?
See, the
bank is open on Sundays, huh?
The last 2 possessions, Spear has had the ball in her hands and she's become a driver. She's got to keep doing that to try to help set up her teammates until she can shake free.
Elise Williams is now on the board for Wake Forest. And Virginia can't respond with a 3 of their own. Head up, Smith actually gets the ball, and a travel is going to be called. She tried to retrieve it, so it'll stay with Wake Forest.
Returning for Wake Forest, 32, Alexandria Scruggs. Also checking in, number 12, Katie Diebel. Back in the game for Virginia.
So you were mentioning just the point guard presence that Wake Forest needed. Well, Katie Diebel checks in for the first time for Wake Forest. Well, Australia, they said she can be special. She's recovering from a heel injury. See what she can bring to the squad. Becker. Off the back iron. Less than a minute to go here in the first quarter.
You got a 2-for-1 opportunity here for Virginia.
Wake Forest foul on
4 out,
20.
1 in. Camryn Taylor fighting for position, shaping up to the basketball. Great effort to do that, and if you don't throw that ball in there, that foul's not going to get called.
So Samiel will take a break. Picks up a foul there. A little bit off the mark for Miller from distance, so about 3.2 difference between game and shot clock.
I think it's a good move by Coach Gebbia to get Kate Diebel in the game early, right here. Let her have a couple of possessions to get a little sweat going, because I think they're going to need her ball handling and her scoring before the game's over.
I think all hands on deck when it comes to that. Katie sends it off. Wake Forest for a second looking at the shot clock. And actually a correction. It was going to stay with Wake Forest. Instead, it's going to go to Virginia. So they get it for the last shot, possibly, with 10.7 on the shot clock.
Yeah, that's smart right there. Roll it up the floor. Get right into it.
Montavon at the top of the key. As you mentioned, the emphasis coming into this one for the officials, just too much contact
Wake foul on number 12,
on the ball
Katie
handler.
Diebel. That's her
So
first
Katie
personal,
Diebel
third
picks
Wake
up her
foul.
first personal foul.
Vaughn, number 5 in white, is a freshman. Bishop McNamara High School, here she is. Turning the corner.
Tried to go right at Demira Hines. It will stay with Virginia.
Coach Mox worked on situations this morning at shoot-around. This was one of the times that they had on the clock. 1.6 under the basket. Good D.
Not quite how they drew it up, but nonetheless, it's been a very entertaining one so far. Wake Forest with a 2-point lead over Virginia. We got 10 more minutes on the other side of the break.
What do you...
For Coach Gebbia, they signed the best recruiting class they've ever had in the history of Wake Forest this week with the new facility that they've built. So things are starting to pick up at Wake. And then, of course, Coach Mox is well aware of being from the state of Virginia, how proud this tradition of Virginia basketball is. And she wants to be a part of helping bring that back.
So played at VCU as well, had her opportunity to coach at VCU as well. So she said, I'm returning home. Understanding what that means for her.
And see, right now, Coach Gebbia has made an adjustment with Jewel Spear. Instead of starting her on the perimeter, she put her on the block in this last possession.
A lot more movement that we're seeing from her as well. Williams short on the left. Vaughn, the freshman, coast to coast with a nice kiss off the glass.
When we talked to Wake Forest head coach Megan Gebbia, the first thing she said was transition defense. You just let Vaughn go rim to rim, untouched.
Have a foul on the play.
Virginia foul on number 44, McKenna Dale. That's her first personal. Second quarter.
The first
Cavalier
foul
team
called
foul.
off the ball on Jewel Spear. And you know what? They've been face guarding her. And she's 2 for 3. She's got 6 points in the game.
Well, we were talking to her at shoot-around, and she said, I understand I'm going to draw a lot of attention. My job is to understand how I'm built and be ready for it. There's another turnover for Wake Forest. Becker tried to go behind the back there. Excuse me, Lawson. Vaughn dishes it off to the baseline. Camryn Taylor, nothing but net.
So Camryn Taylor couldn't do that last year. She couldn't catch it in space and step back. That's some really good off-season work by Coach Mox and her staff.
Talked about her leading her team in points and rebounds last year, but it's a little bit different in this season. A breath of fresh air as she's in her senior year, leading this team.
Look how deep Hines gets. You got to score that when you catch it with 2 feet in the paint in front of the rim.
Dale just got a little antsy, looking over, saying, I tried to get it to you on the side. It's a turnover there.
Watch Camryn Taylor. She sets a screen. It's a short pop. She uses the bounce to create separation. Outstanding work by Camryn Taylor, the 6'2" senior. Remember last year she stepped away in mid-January, had to take care of some personal issues. She did lose her mom to cancer. That was a part of it. Boy, it's great to see her back. And I told her today at shoot-around that I was going to call her College. That's her nickname for me, because she is taking advantage of every opportunity and every resource in college to make herself better. That's what you come to college to do. So that's her name. Her name is College. That's what I'm calling her.
All right, well, there's that. It's not very often you have a player that comes over to the coach and say, I'm waiting on my Smartie. You know, with the candy, they're awarded a Smartie at half court, acknowledged from the team, and just understanding the balance. That student does come before the athlete.
Well, she got a 95 on her presentation, and that's their reward system if you do well academically, and the kids love it. Nice
Coach
drop
Mox
off.
loves that. Another nice look for Taylor. Virginia on a 8-0 run.
Valladay now face guarding Spear. Got to keep your hands off her.
So different rotations that get the assignment for Spear. As Hines gets the layup.
This is what happens when you get to conference play. Transition slows, the game slows. You got to be able to execute.
Both teams challenge right out of the gate. Just game 3 in ACC play. They are now in.
And Demira Hines for Wake Forest at 6'2" is strong and physical and very athletic, and has done a good job not getting in any foul trouble. She's been prone to foul trouble early in the season.
Virginia foul on number 20, Kip. Number 20, Olivia Summiel.
How about Camryn Taylor? She's been an emphasis out of the timeout. We've seen her with 3 touches.
Well, I think Coach Mox knows you got to establish the baseline, and Camryn Taylor is working hard for position. She's demanding the basketball. That's what you want out of your post players.
Back in the game for Wake, number 14, Nia Becker.
These are the first free throws of the game, and if you're looking at the list as well, Camryn Taylor was held scoreless in the first quarter, and she's come alive so far in the second. Can't connect on the first one.
Camryn Taylor at the line for Virginia, 1 shot remaining.
Well, Tuesday night, we'll have a men's basketball doubleheader for you right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Louisville hosts App State at 6 Eastern, then Armando Baycott and #1 North Carolina hosts Gardner Webb at the Dean Smith Center in Chapel Hill. North Carolina, the favorite, obviously. Very entertaining, a lot of great talent on that group.
Well, Louisville Cardinal fans, don't panic yet. They're 0-2, and they've played 2 really good basketball teams that were smaller in size and really moved the ball. And for North Carolina, I mean, the way they played in the second half to shut down the College of Charleston, because they were trailing at the half.
Yeah.
North Carolina's got it rolling as the #1 team in the country on the men's side. See, that's not a good shot. That's where Taylor Valladay's got to make a play for someone else. She's hit a couple of threes. She's got incredible speed. Use that speed to get in the paint and set someone up.
Coach talked about just having that floor general, understanding when and where, improvements that she wants from that department in her backcourt.
Well, I call that the 3 W's of a good point guard. Who to get the ball to, when and where. And I'm not saying that about Taylor yet. I'm waiting. I'm going to give her till January.
We'll see how she progresses throughout the season.
I'm going to give her to January. I think she'll get it.
We'll check back in. Spear had a nice look, couldn't connect. Vaughn calls her own number. Back iron once again. Becker dishes it off to Williams. Hines really working on the inside, but another turnover for Wake Forest.
See, in the post, low man wins. So you got to play the game low to high. And this is Jewel working off a stagger, running Valladay off some screening action to get to the elbow.
Just couldn't get it to fall, but the work, and you know this as an offensive guru, but just coming off those screens, Spirit known to be the best at doing that, as Sam Brunelle winds it up and gets it to fall.
Good pick and pop on one side, clear it out. You know Brunelle has got great range. If she gets her feet underneath her, it's probably going to go in.
Well, it's going to be a turnover in a timeout for Wake Forest. And how about Sam Brunelle lining it up, dropping it in, starting out for her home fans.
Auto owners, insures your car. Because sometimes...
Job by Coach Mox to get her system in place, take advantage of the personnel that she has, and play up tempo. I think most teams want to play up tempo. I mean, you want to get 8 or 9 deep into your bench at this point in the season.
She has 5 players coming into this one, averaging double figures. A foul on the play here. It looks like it's going to go against Taylor Valladay.
Virginia foul on number 2, Taylor Valladay. That's her first personal.
It's going to be her first personal.
This would be a great time to run a play to get the ball to Jewel. Because what Virginia does is they play man under the basket and then they match up. This is a great opportunity for her to score.
Becker at the top of the key. Dale is able to deny. They get it back. Becker dishes it out. Scruggs.
Oh, how did that not go in?
And we've seen it go down a couple of times already within this season. Scruggs couldn't get that one to fall. Valladay at the top of the key. Taylor, one-legged fadeaway.
A little Sigma move. I love it.
That?
Good offensive board by Smith. So she's out there to play D, and she gives you some points. That's a bonus.
First points for her, so now on the board. 7 players have scored for Virginia. We talked about the balance and what that looks like for the Cavaliers. And we're seeing it on display.
Over Wake Forest 0 for their last 5. They're on a 3-minute scoring drought. Smith just available for an offensive rebound. Good job by Brunelle to keep it alive.
Almost pointed to her like, hey, there you go, that's for you, that's a little gift.
And then immediately finds Jewel Spear before she crosses midcourt. That's a very good job.
On both sides of the ball. That one almost lost out of bounds. Wake Forest has 15 to work with on the shot clock. Williams asked for it. She gets it back, short on the 3. And Smith, full speed ahead. Pulls up right in front of the free throw line and back iron.
It's a chance for Wake Forest without Spear on the floor, down 10, to see if they can get Hines going.
She had 2 good looks, Debbie, and you mentioned just the work that she's been able to do early in getting the look at the block, but just hasn't been able to convert. Demira Hines right now 1 for 4 from the field. Alexia Smith will take a break for Virginia.
See, this is a big lineup on the floor right now for Wake Forest. They've got size at every position. Let's see if they can take advantage of it.
Valladay, it's cleared out on the left. She couldn't make it over the length of Demira Hines. Becker all the way to the rim, gets it to roll in, and they needed that. They missed their previous 8 shots.
Wake showing, switching in their man-to-man. When you have players that are all the same size, it's easier to switch. in your man-to-man defense.
9 on the shot clock. Brunelle at the top of the key. No good. Brunelle 2 for 4 from the field, 1 for 3 from distance. Wake Forest right now just shooting 28% from the field, and that helps. Andrews with the tray.
Their rhythm completely changed offensively when Jewel Spear went to the bench.
And that'll be a timeout for Coach Mox, wanting to fine-tune some things defensively. We'll see what answer they have right after the break.
Sharing a table brings people together in a way that few things do.
Share a meal with your family and friends and be really proud of what you've created.
Let's cook.
Introducing the all-new one-wheel GT and Pint X. GT, built with more power to crush new terrain. Pint X, twice the range to take on the city. 2 new boards to make everywhere epic. Get riding today at onewheel.com.
There you see Megan Jebbia in her first year with Wake Forest. Just had a lengthy conversation with Elise Williams, trying to do everything that she can to create some balance for Jewel Spears. Had a rough night as there's a foul.
Oh, man, see, those are the fouls that Hines has to avoid getting. I mean, she had 1 foul. I was watching her because now she's got 2, and Coach Jebbia has 2 minutes to play. Now, do you trust her to leave her in, or do you not trust her and take her out?
Mira McLean can't knock down the first one. All right, well, Thursday we'll have the women's basketball game of the night right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. How about this? Dawn Staley and the #1 South Carolina take on Clemson at Little John Coliseum. Both teams come in undefeated. Our coverage begins at 6 Eastern. Well, it's not every day we get to see South Carolina on the ACC Network. That's going to be a good one.
Well, they are the #1 team. They handled their business at Maryland on Friday night. Dawn Staley has basically the same personnel with a few additions, and the additions like Bree Beal shooting a 3. Come on. I mean, Amanda Butler's got her hands full, but you know what? This is an improved Clemson team.
Absolutely.
Let's see what Ruby Whitehorn, the freshman sensation for Clemson, has to offer that night against that physical defense of South Carolina.
We'll definitely be tuned in. You talked about their game against Maryland. It was just a 6-point game at half, and then whatever speech Dawn Staley delivered definitely worked as they were able to push it out to at least 20. McLean lost the ball at the top of the key. Still a fight for it. Virginia gets it back.
And then crashes into the defender.
Virginia foul on #1, Carol Miller.
Play fast, but don't be in a hurry. Chaotic, chaos, organized, craziness out there.
You
just got to make a better decision.
Kara Miller actually coming off of the bench in this one, was starting the first 2. Like that can see what they can do with the rhythm, looking for that as well.
See, this is a good thing for Wake Forest. They're able to cut it to a 2-possession game. The last minute 30, you get Jewel Spear back on the floor. Smith still face guarding her. Oh, she back cuts it. That's a beautiful call from the bench. A great setup by Wake Forest, and an easy 2 points off the ball by Spear.
And we were at shoot-around for Coach Mock. She said, watch out for the back screens, knowing that Jewel Spear is just so crafty with getting to her shot. It's a good look there. Camryn Taylor on the baseline. Double team comes, she sends it out. Valladay, 9 on the shot clock, is able to draw the foul.
See, that's a good decision. For the other times that I said that it wasn't, this one is really good because she turns the corner, she gets in the paint. She's quick enough with her first step to get by most defenders, but once you get to that second level, you got to be able to make a play on balance and make a good decision.
Talked about what you saw in Valladay being that type of player that can do so much on the floor, the complete point guard. Last year, she led the team in assists and steals. Coach talked about the balance that she does bring. points against Pitt as well, for just knowing how to put the ball in the hoop. Well, the ACC PM with Mark Packer, Trey Boston, and Taylor Tannenbaum. They'll talk football, but we'll also have the latest from around the conference. You can tune in weekdays at 4 Eastern right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app.
My guy Mark Packer loves some women's hoops in the ACC, and this year is by far, I think, the most competitive, top to bottom, the league has been. And certainly at the top, I believe there's 5 teams that can win the ACC regular season and tournament title. I don't think it'll be the same team that wins both. It's going to be tough.
NC State, reigning champs.
5 teams in the top 15 preseason.
Yep.
NC State back-to-back ACC tournament champions.
Won the regular last year.
First time that NC State had won the regular season and the tournament title since 1985. That's a long time ago.
Just a tad. Louisville coming in.
I think
as the favorite.
They're my favorite. They're my favorite first. I picked them first. I picked NC State second, North Carolina third. Then I have Virginia Tech. Then I have Notre Dame. And a lot of people are asking me about Notre Dame. They're in the top 10. I'm talking about winning the ACC. Notre Dame has the hardest conference schedule. They play all the top teams on the road, and they play Louisville twice. And the last regular season game is at Louisville. That's tough.
Sam Brunelle at the top of the key can't connect. You talked about the toughness. Well, so many different faces on these squads. Virginia Tech adds a couple of standouts, especially Taylor Soule coming in.
Then you've got the improvement of Miami. You get the improvement of Duke. You get the different look at Georgia Tech.
Yes. Miami was in the ACC championship game for the first time. As there's a foul at 7.2 before the end of this first half.
Wake foul on number 25, Demira Hines.
Both teams are in the bonus, so Camryn Taylor will be able to step up to the free throw line.
At the line for your Cavaliers,
Demira Hines, as you mentioned, just leaving her on the floor. She picks up her third before the conclusion of the first half.
You know, it's interesting because I had that very conversation with Coach Gebbia last night. Who do you trust? Who do you not? Do you have the 2-foul rule? And she decided to trust.
Gets the first of the pair.
And along with that is the discipline that Hines has to be able to play with defensively because they have to have her on the floor.
But it's something that Coach mentioned even at shoot-around. That's the one thing that she's trying to work through. The foul trouble and understanding how not to turn the ball over. Both have plagued them in this first half.
Well, considering that Virginia's game plan was to face guard Jewel Spear, and Spear only has 5 points, yet it's a 2-possession game, or maybe less at the half, I think Wake Forest has got to feel good on the road in their first 20 minutes.
Spear with the ball at the top of the key, releases, almost gets it to go, but that will do it for the first half. Deb, some things that you've seen.
Well, I love the face guard of Jewel Spear because I definitely think it disrupted Wake Forest's rhythm, and Wake got back in it when Jewel went to the bench. I think Hines has got to play with better defensive discipline, but I think Coach Mox's team's got to pick up the tempo a little bit. They're playing fast. They got to make better decisions in their transition game about who to score and when to pass.
So we've seen different styles in the first and second quarter. Wake Forest was up 2 after the first. Virginia, it's been all of them in the second. They have the 5-point lead. Going into halftime, they outscored Wake Forest 18-11. We'll see if they can carry it over after the break.
Good, and she's gonna face Jump D all season.
Virginia has thrown everything but the kitchen sink at Jewel Spear as she gets the ball at the top of the key. Early shot at the top, no good. Back iron, McLean comes down with the rebound. Transfer from UConn, didn't see many minutes there, but was with that Final 14. dishes it out for the three. That's the bottom.
How about Camryn Taylor? When she catches on the nail, she is very dangerous, and that is an excellent feed to the corner three.
Kaydan Lawson knocks that one down.
In Wake Forest, you can't help off the strong side corner.
Sister of former Cavalier, Danny Lawson. So back-to-back outside attempts for Wake Forest. Empty possessions on both. McLean. Nice body control, getting to her shot. That's another deuce for McLean. McLean basically trying to face guard Scruggs.
They're going to call Scruggs for a foul in the paint. Offensive charge.
Wake foul on number 32, Alexandria Scruggs. That's her third personal.
So that will be her third personal foul, and you talked about it at the beginning, how they deal with foul trouble. Demira Hines had 3 personal fouls in the first half as well. Camryn Taylor bobbles it around, so this is going to be a jump ball.
Really good dig inside by Spear to tie it up.
Stays with Virginia.
Checking in for Virginia, number 34, London Clarkson.
London Clarkson checks in for Camryn Taylor.
See, everything is a teachable moment for Coach Mox. She's pulling Camryn Taylor over there. She has a word for her. It's all positive. Here's something you could do better or different.
Valladay has been so aggressive to the rim. She finds herself with another opportunity to knock down 2 at the free throw line.
Elise Williams, that's her second. Team second.
So Elise Williams picks up her second. That's a team
At the line for Virginia,
second personal
number
foul
2,
as well.
Taylor Valladay shooting 2.
Valladay, 2 from the free throw line so far. She has 8 points. All right, well, Tuesday night we'll have a men's basketball doubleheader for you right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. We already talked about it. Louisville hosts App State at 6 Eastern. Then Armando Bacot, the number 1 North Carolina hosts Gardner Webb at the Dean Smith Center in Chapel Hill.
Dustin Kearns is the head coach for Appalachian State and a friend. He moves the ball, and this is going to be another team that comes in for Louisville that they're going to have to make sure they jump to the ball and they close out on shooters. And they've got to rebound and get in transition. They've got to play with speed. That's their game. Pace.
Well, how about the pace of Virginia? To start this second half, got in the passing lane. We're seeing the physicality of them on the floor as they come up with another opportunity. $12 turnovers for Wake Forest. And another tray for Virginia. Lawson.
Kaydan Lawson came into the game 5 for 11. She's now 7 for 14 on the season.
And helps with a 12-0 run by Virginia. So Virginia rolling right now, finding some success from deep. Wake Forest looking to find some answers. Wake Forest has yet to score in this quarter. Virginia with 10 points. And their lead has ballooned to 15.
Well, behind the three-point shooting of Kaydan Lawson, the 6-foot junior. She had 18 in the GW game. That was the first game of the season.
Already has the tray.
There's Hines. Oh, good steal by McLean. That's a telegraphed pass from the top of the floor. And McLean had Hines had great position. And McLean makes herself small in the gap and then makes herself wide when she goes for the steal. That's the way you do it.
And that's what Coach Mock said about how you earn minutes on the floor. McLean, known for her length, she said, we need her on the floor because of her defense. One of those players we've seen already, how she can be that balanced player on both sides of the ball. Gets it into Clarkson. Clarkson works around, it rims around and falls down for another 2.
Really good footwork inside by London Clarkson not to travel, stay on balance and make that play.
Wake Forest just needing to take care of the ball. 13 turnovers so far for Wake Forest. Virginia has 21 points off of them. We're now under that 7-minute mark in the third. 5 on the shot clock for Williams to work with. She's short, but is able to draw the foul.
Good take, down the lane line.
Virginia foul on number 34, London Clarkson. That's her first personal.
You know, this is a great time for Wake Forest to ball fake, shot fake, because Virginia is ramped up on the defensive end. You might be able to get something easy going back door. And getting to the free throw line is also important for Wake Forest right now. Stop the clock, get to the line, and try to get some points.
Williams picks up her 6th point. Still perfect from the free throw line. And gets a second. So now they're just trying to chip away, but Virginia has really been taking charge here in the second half. No look to Brunelle at the top of the key. McLean, that was broken up.
See, Brunelle's got to shoot that. And that's when you get into conference play, the margin for errors will shrink. So you make mistakes, and the other team's going to capitalize on them.
Wake went 5 minutes without a bucket. That's their first one.
I like the switch to the zone also. I think you have to change it up a little bit. But you got to be able to rebound out of it.
Second chance opportunity. We've said her name a couple of times with Kaydan Lawson.
He's got 8 points here in the third quarter.
Offensive foul.
Wake foul on number 24, Jewel Spear.
So Jewel Spear picks up her first personal foul.
Back in the game for Virginia, number 44, McKenna Dale.
Up to this point, Jewel has kept her composure, and she has. And that's a collision that required an offensive foul to be put on it.
Miscommunication at the
I'm not sure who that was
underneath.
to. Somebody behind us in the Virginia stand said that she was open.
Virginia foul on number 2, Taylor Valladay.
It depends what perspective you're looking from.
Second Cavaliers team foul. At the line for Wake,
So
number
Taylor picks up the
21,
foul there.
Elise Williams shooting 2.
And Elise Williams finds herself at the free throw line once again. Coach compared her style to Mark Jackson. Talking to her, she mentioned just being able to have that size and be able to step up and kind of score on different levels. Well, Thursday we'll have the women's basketball game of the night right here on the AC Network and ESPN app. Number 1 South Carolina take on Clemson at Little John Coliseum. Both teams undefeated. Coverage begins at 6 Eastern. And we have a timeout that was called. So this will be the media. They'll step away. We'll do the same as well. Right now, Virginia taking care of business with a 44-31 lead.
With insurance from auto owners, you can relax knowing we got you.
For 1 in the first half, 3 for 3 here in the third quarter. Nice kick out by Camryn Taylor to bury a triple, and then against the zone, little foot fake, and she sticks it. She's got 8 points here in the third quarter.
Something was said at the half for her to put on this performance in the second half. Valladay didn't like her look to McLean. She has 5 to work with at the top of the key. Gets it to Brunelle with 2. Fade away short. McLean with the rebound and is able to step up to the free throw line. She gets fouled.
Good activity on the glass. Good crash by Virginia.
Williams, that's her 3rd. teams.
You know, you get to, we're only at November 13, right? But inside 10 on the shot clock, they quickly got into their horn set and they knew exactly what they wanted to run.
A couple of players with foul trouble.
You know what, Angel, when you know exactly where you want your shots to come from, it allows you to get to the offensive glass. And that was a great crash right there by Virginia offensively, because they knew Brunelle was going to shoot it.
So Elise Williams has 3 personal fouls as well as Scruggs. As we mentioned, Demira Hines with 4.
She was open inside, and I don't think Scruggs ever looked in there.
Spear still being denied. Valladay has the assignment, close to a turnover at the top of the key. And that was just chaos towards the end of the shot clock. Virginia forcing yet another turnover to Wake Forest. But they don't give any points up on that possession. Spear, a rare open shot for her, and that sails over the backboard.
I mean, this is where Jewel getting an early test with a target on her back as last year's leading scorer in the league. She had to put up a lot of production for Wake Forest last year. This year, they're trying to get her off the ball a little bit more, open up the floor, more cutting, you know, more space. But Virginia's game plan has worked defensively on Jewel Spear to keep her out of rhythm. That doesn't mean she couldn't get hot. You can't let up and make a mistake on her. She'll make you pay.
Shoot or shoot. You know, that's something that she does very well. Brunelle off the mark. But another offensive board for Virginia. McLean has been in the right place at the right time. Can't get that to fall and comes down hard in the paint. Spear dishes it off. Katie Diebel short.
See, that's one of 2 things for Jewel right there. That is either trusting her teammate to make a shot or fatigue, not looking to drive it all the way to the basket herself.
Trying to get others involved. She mentioned trying to be more of that playmaker, just short on the shot for Diebel, but really having to put her foot on the gas. But not much time to work with here in the 3rd quarter. 3:44 left.
You can't underestimate the value of cutting, how it creates space, and why a basket cut is important. A scoring cut is important, but the exit cut is equally as important. You don't just roll through the motions. You gotta cut hard.
So Lawson, who has continued to pile on the points here in the 3rd quarter, knocks down the first one.
I'm just going to tell you right now, all year I'm watching for who the best cutters are.
Okay.
Who cuts hard? Who changes their direction? Who cuts like they mean it?
We'll make it a
Like
graphic.
say, look, Brunelle's guarding Hines, and she's got 2 feet in the paint, and Hines is outside the 3-point line. She's not a threat from out there.
Diebel trying to get to the rim. That's blocked. So Dell able to get the block there. Sends it to Sam Brunelle underneath. Another foul called for Wake Forest.
See, and when you push in transition, you get the mismatches that you want. You know, you got Spear stuck on Brunelle, and Brunelle buries her in the paint. Draws a foul. The smart play by Sam Brunelle. That's why, you know, cutting is important. Running the floor hard is important too. It opens up space.
Well, how about Sam Brunelle? She's at the free throw line, knocks down the first one. We already talked about her being the hometown kid. William Monroe High School standout, went to Notre Dame, got her undergrad there, and then transferred to Virginia. This was actually her first player being signed under Coach Mox, and she talked about how this was always home. She's actually a ball girl for Virginia growing up, and has understood the history they've had here with this program from a very early age. And you can see her at a very young age at the U-Haul arena, as you mentioned.
That's Sam's mom.
Awesome. Katie.
Yeah, with Sam in the carrier in the front, outside the U-Haul.
The U-Haul.
Isn't that pretty cool? That's very cool. You never got to go in
Runs
U-Haul,
deep.
did you?
No, I don't think so. I think I was right here in this arena.
It was legendary, U-Haul. It was some of the great moments in ACC history in U-Haul.
How about Lawson? So fire from outside, another tray.
Kaydan Lawson, you go ahead and shoot till your arm falls off.
Knew it was coming so
That's
far.
11 points in the third quarter.
3 for 4 from distance, Deb.
I love it. I love players that have worked hard, that come out here under the lights and show what they've been spending their time doing.
And now is the leading scorer with 13 points. Taylor Valladay, the only other player.
Held ball, possession arrow in
You know,
favor
this
of Wake
is
Forest.
something about Coach Mox's system, that Lawson was not one of the 5 that scored in double figures against UMBC in their last game. That just shows you the multiple weapons that they may have this season. Good post up.
And another miss, 1 for 9 for Wake Forest in the second half so far, Deb. Shooting 26% from the field. Camryn Taylor tried to line it up from outside. And Smith said, hey, I got your back, though.
Yeah, Wake looks like they've lost their spirit a little bit. And Coach, yeah, it's a good timeout. It's a really good timeout to try to get your group refocused. See if you can build back some confidence, because their basketball body language has shrunk.
As this is the biggest lead for Virginia. They're now up 23. 10-0 run over the last 3 minutes. And as you talked about throughout this broadcast, the new coaches trying to implement their new styles, their philosophies. We have 4 new faces in the ACC. Brooke Wyckoff at FSU, replacing Sue Semrau, who retired. Elise Williams at Syracuse.
Who you played for, Sue Semrau,
Yes.
who had a long-time career at Florida State. And then here's why the new coaches are undefeated coming into today. Tanaya Latson, 31 points in her first 2 games
Wow.
is their average. I mean, that is incredible. And then Deasia Fair, I should say. And then just the returning production for Wake, and Virginia has been scoring at a very high clip. You mentioned it earlier, they didn't score over 85 points in a game last year. They only had 3 times last year where they shot better than 45% from the floor. Well, they've already had 2 games this season where they've done that.
Camryn Taylor, that's her
We had
second
5
personal.
wins
Fourth
last
Cavalier
season
team foul.
through
At the
regular
line for Wake, number
or non-conference.
I know it's early, and I just want, I felt this when I watched them on tape and when I came to practice and I watched Coach Mox. Not to put any additional pressure on her, but you know, there's a schedule in front of them where they could be undefeated going into their next ACC game, which would be December 21st against Duke. That would make them 12-0. That'd be very impressive for a new head coach at Virginia. And the schedule sets up for it. I mean, you got, you know, you're trying to build offensive habits, confidence.
Until they built just the culture here. And even seeing the fans and how excited they are. The men's program also excelling. And to see how excited they are for this team. Coach talked about everyone staying in the arena, trying to see them eclipse that 100 mark, and the excitement around the program right now. You mentioned just a couple of games they have coming up. They go to Loyola on the 16th, and then they head to American as well on the 20th.
I try to get Jewel Spear going again right here, Angel. She just scored the last basket.
Less than a minute to play in the third. Hines,
Great.
Nice move on the inside.
Tamira Hines.
She's got an advantage in that matchup with Brunelle with a deep post up inside.
It's about chipping away for Wake Forest. Dale kicks it out to Smith. Line drive and gets it. Raining threes in the arena right now for Virginia.
That's their 4th triple in this third quarter.
7 threes on the day, 7 for 19. But Wake Forest not too far behind. They've already knocked down 5. Spear hesitates, tries to kiss it off the glass, and that's knocked out of bounds. We'll stay with Wake Forest. They'll get it back with 3.1.
Returning for
Taylor Valladay checks back in for Alexia Smith.
Oh, good out-of-bounds play. Oh, that's a foul. Good call. They had 2 whistles, maybe 3 on that one.
Virginia foul on number 20.
Really nice
Camryn
delay
Taylor.
action and cut by Hines.
Team's 5th.
So Camryn Taylor picks up her 3rd personal foul.
At the line for Wake, Tamira Hines shooting 2.
So Hines has seen better days from the floor. She's 2 for 6 from the field. These are her first free throws of the day. She's battled with some foul trouble throughout this one. Can't connect on the first free throw. You talked about her size, 6'2", the junior out of Douglasville, Georgia. Trying to bring more offense. Can't quite connect there. And that'll do it for the 3rd quarter. And it was all Virginia, 27-11, that they outscore Wake Forest.
Triples. Kaydan Lawson. Get the ice bucket ready because the arm is starting to fall off.
10 minutes left. Let's take a look at the ACC preseason. Top 25, you have 5 teams in the ACC in the top 25. You already mentioned just what we can look out for. Louisville, the favorite in the ACC, highest ranked in the top 25 as well.
I mean, it's brutal. It's just absolutely brutal. Only one of these teams is not going to be in the double bye in the ACC tournament. That's going to be tough.
Right.
I mean, the league is so good. As in all the years that I've been around the league, I don't ever remember there being this many teams at the top. And for all the other power leagues, I think this is the most competitive race. I will put the Big Ten second.
Okay.
Because there's that many good teams in the Big Ten. But the SEC is a dominant South Carolina team. I don't see anybody else really competing with them. Everybody thinks Tennessee might have a chance, but LSU maybe, but they got to play LSU. South Carolina plays LSU at home this year, so that's a tough environment to go in and win.
You mentioned that even at ACC tip-off, how deep this league can go and the talent that we're going to see, and it's just been fun to kind of witness everyone on their start so far. McLean can't connect at the rim.
So, Angel, you know, we've had a lot of conversation around why this game is being played so early. When the ACC network launched, on the Scruggs hits a triple.
3-point basket, Alexandria Scruggs.
The men in the ACC played a game. The first game of the season was a conference game, so they could launch the network. Like North Carolina and Duke were on the network at the very beginning, which was awesome. Great way to bring the network in. But when I spoke to Mary McElroy about why this game is being played early, there's an issue in the schedule that is an opportunity for teams to play an early game. They decided the teams based on alphabet. So that's why Wake and Virginia are playing. They could choose when they wanted to play this game.
Yes.
Mary McElroy is one of the assistant or associate commissioners of the ACC.
Yeah, and it just goes down there. Each team is looking at us like, where is this coming from? Well, you work your way down the alphabet and you'll find yourself at some point starting your season off with that early start. There's called play dates. This is the first one, and the next one will be in December. December 18th will be for that time, and it's just all about getting all the teams being able to play one another enough times before the ACC tournament and fitting all those games in.
And if you're Coach Jebbia, you can't question your system or of course you're going to break down the film and you're going to look at a couple of things, but you're building something here that takes time. That's why this game is hard to play if you're Wake Forest. Now on the other side of it for Virginia is, wow, it's validating everything that Coach Mox has been selling since she got the job about But you can't get it too high or too low over this one game. It's November 13th. Both of these teams are going to change significantly by the time we get to January and February.
A lot of time left, as you were alluding to. And I think, too, when you're looking at Wake Forest and their roster, this is a veteran-heavy squad. They didn't have any transfers come in. They only have one freshman on the roster as well. A big chunk. 87% of their scoring returns as well. So an understanding of this is a game where we have to learn from. What are those things that we learn and how do we build, knowing that we have a lot of the season left? This is just game 3.
Well, and I think for the Wake Forest players, okay, we've got Jewel Spear, and she's great.
Right.
Okay, she's really good. Well, we've got to have some others that have got to be able to take on some more accountability for scoring. And as a player, who wouldn't want that? Like, who doesn't want to score? Every player wants to score. It just refocuses the attention to detail, why cutting is important, why turning the ball over has to stop, shot selection, critical to keep teams out of transition. Stuff like that. I mean, all the stuff that Coach Jebbia was hired to do.
McLean, no good. 19 turnovers for Wake Forest. They struggled in the third quarter, got outscored 27-11. And the 3-ball has worked for Virginia. Kaydan Lawson went off, hit 3 triples in the third quarter. And Andrews bounces around a bit. Scruggs with the rebound and is able to draw the foul.
I don't know if anybody is going to get an offensive rebound away from Scruggs on the weak side. Gets great position inside, and she's strong in there.
At the line, number 32, Alexandria.
And I'm wondering if we'll see Jewel Spear or if she may be done for the afternoon. Nope.
Well, we will.
She's getting back in.
She gets up. Scruggs can't connect in. So we'll see Spear and Conley checking in. Well, ACC PM with Mark Packer, your friend, Debbie, Trey Boston, and
my guy.
Taylor Tannenbaum. They'll talk football, but we'll also have the latest from around the conference. Weekdays at 4 Eastern right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. You had me as a lover of women's basketball.
Oh, yeah, Mark Packer's he's all dialed in. You know who his favorite player in the ACC is on the women's side?
I don't.
It's Haley Van Lith at Louisville.
Well, why not? She's a lot of different people's favorite player nationally. You had her call earlier.
Oh, Louisville looked good on Monday. You know,
yeah.
Jeff Wall's playing a really challenging non-conference schedule. They got to play Belmont. That's not going to be easy. Belmont's got 3 really good guards.
I tell you what, I had the call with Chelsea Gray last year, Louisville and Belmont made them work for every single point. It was not a blowout as
no, they're well coached.
Assumed. They are a great squad, very balanced, have a lot of talent. And I think Jeff Walls, as you were alluding to, understands that as well.
NC State looks like they're going to finish off today with a win.
Some other games that were going on, Miami versus Boston University. Georgia Tech, Kennesaw State, FSU at Georgia State. Oh, BC versus Ohio State at 4 p.m.
Yeah, so far, no upsets in the ACC. Clemson with a good lead in the fourth quarter. Miami wins today, Boston University. Georgia Tech with a commanding lead late. NC State blows out Mount St. Mary's. NC State is good.
So we get a little preview of the Big Ten ACC Challenge with Boston College and Ohio State later on at 4 o'clock.
I'll tell you what, Ohio State's guards are outstanding. They had a huge win this week, and I love that on the women's side that some of the top teams are playing each other early.
Yes.
It's really good for the growth of the game. It gets people paying attention.
Had a very impressive win by Notre Dame over Cal the other night as well. Last night, won 90-79. One of the teams you picked in your top 5.
Well, I'm keeping my eye on Notre Dame. I think they are outstanding. I just think their schedule in the league is so challenging. Notre Dame had 5 starters in double figures yesterday. Olivia Miles had 10 assists to go with 5 rebounds and 13 points, one of the better point guards in the league.
A walking double-double with assists. Olivia Miles, so impressive. Some of the passes that she makes. Even coming in as a freshman, you're like, this cannot be a freshman, but standing out and continuing to shine in the ACC.
Well, she keeps her 2-to-1 assist-turnover ratio alive because she did have 5 turnovers.
Working through those. Jewel from outside, all but down, and she just looks at the bench like, this just isn't my night.
Returning for Virginia, number 20, Camryn Taylor.
We talked about the different ways that they can fine-tune some things. Obviously, a tough night for Wake Forest in the turnover department, but free throws, too. Coach said we have to make sure that we're better at the free throw line. The only player that has excelled in that department has been Jewel Spear. She hasn't had a lot of touches because of the face guard.
Well, if you're Coach Mox and you're starting to build your checklist for this game, you take Jewel Spear out of the game. 7 points is all she scored on 3 of 10 shooting. She hasn't had a lot of clean looks. Last year, the low point for her was 9 points against Georgia Tech. It's the only time all season she was held under 10. So you check that off with your defensive scouting report. You did what you asked, your team did what you asked them to do.
So Taylor Valladay picks up the foul there. So we'll step away. Virginia still taking charge, 61-40.
With insurance from auto owners.
Look at this.
This picture is Elisha Bond as a sophomore point guard at Ohio State, and I'm the former director of marketing and athletics. That's a 30-year-old photo. That was then, and then this is now. And I love seeing Elisha, and family is the appropriate word here. We spent a lot of time together. I was an administrator, she was a player, but what a wonderful ambassador for our game.
Absolutely.
What incredible energy and nonstop chatter. And if she calls you sugar, that's a good thing.
I mean, every single player down the line had some type of saying with her. Sam Brunelle walks out of the gym saying, bye, Peaches. It's just these different things that they have for one another, just the energy. We talked about that a little bit, too. Just the energy and the passion that these players, it's almost like a breath of air. What am I saying? Breath of fresh air.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
I looked at you like, wait a minute.
I totally get it.
And I think, too, just going back to that photo, it stands out to me just how she hasn't changed, and the only thing that has changed with you, Debbie, is your hair color. I like the first hairstyle.
And I'm gonna keep keeping it this color. No, a lot has changed. A lot has changed, but it's really fun to be back here in Charlottesville. And you know what? This is one of those environments. Credit all the way back to Dan Bonner and Debbie Ryan, especially Debbie Ryan.
Yes.
With creating such a warm culture around this program. When I know several of the ushers are still here, that were here since I've been coming here. That's a long time.
You mentioned just the history with Camryn Taylor at the free throw line. You're looking at it there, and Debbie Ryan's such a huge piece for this program and the success of this program as well. You see Dawn Staley and her numbers and what she just continues to do for the game of basketball, for women's basketball overall. But I think what stands out to me is what Carla Williams, the AD for Virginia, has been able to do as well. And she called Debbie Ryan and reached out to her for her input on the next head coach for this program and just bridging the gap there.
She did her homework. She did call several people around the game. And Carla, a former player at Georgia for Andy Landers, certainly knows what championship caliber basketball looks like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to Tony Bennett today. I came to watch a little bit of their practice. They look good. They got a big game tomorrow night on the ACC network, playing Northern Iowa. (8 o'clock tomorrow night, ACC network. Northern Iowa, one of the top teams in the Missouri Valley on the men's side, will take on Tony Bennett's club.
Checking in for your Cavaliers, number 5.
Basketball around the clock, our favorite time of the year.
I mean, if you don't have the ESPN app, you need to get it because you literally can watch. I think I watched 12 different games the other night on a piece of a game here or there. It was just like bouncing around between the men and the women and finding a game and late in the game and watching strategy. And then, of course, there's Tony Bennett's 2019 National Championship banner.
Good board and can't finish that one off. I just want to go back to the culture and how Coach Mox talked about the different things that they've been able to do. And it's just not about what they do on the floor, off the court as well. We mentioned how they are sticklers when it comes to just taking care of business in the classroom, but the different things that they do as far as team building as well. Coach Bond is the MC of wilding out when they have something at the house, but we had a bit of a hard hit underneath. I think they may have to review this one. It was above the shoulders, so automatically you have to go and review.
Team's third.
That is, I don't, see, this is where it's really interesting. I have a different opinion on the rules. Hines did not lead with her elbows. She was making a pivot with her forearms. I thought they were perpendicular to the floor when she turned to pivot. And when you make that contact, you do have to review it.
Yes. Couple things that come into play. I'm trying to see if they're going to be excessive.
Yeah, I don't think this is an upgrade.
A basketball play.
She's turning to pivot. Yeah, see, and I'm not even sure that she, well, did she catch her with a ball? She didn't catch her with an elbow. She hit her in the face with a ball. That's not intentional. Not that intent is measured here, but to me, that's a basketball move and not an upgradable offense.
Right. We'll see what the officials have concluded.
After review, the call stands as a common
Eric
personal
Cruz and
foul.
Jeffrey Smith,
No
they
upgrade.
say it is a common foul, no upgrade, as you said.
Yeah, that's
just your first review.
The right call.
Are you perfect so far?
Is this my first review this year? I don't know. I'm trying to think if I had a review in the last game. Oh, we're going to keep score?
I would like to.
Okay, well, then I think this, then I'm 1-0.
You're 1-0. Very nice start, Deb. Mira Hines picks up her fifth personal foul.
Let's hope we don't have a lot of those this year.
Less than 3 minutes to play in this one. It's been Virginia all in the second half. One at the end, one can't get it to fall.
I'll tell you what, London Clarkson and Camryn Taylor do an excellent job of getting deep position. Like, they bury defenders in the rim, and they're both physical, strong post players. That's where the physicality in the game comes in, is in the post. You know, where you can shape up to the ball. You want to show your jersey number and your hands to the ball if you can.
It's pretty impressive to finish off the regular conference season last year. Double figures in the last 6 games of the season, 11 points in the ACC tournament. Just trying to find her balance and where she fits in this scheme for Coach Mox, as well as this roster that's been revamped.
And remember, Wake Forest playing without a point guard today definitely had an impact and through the elevator door screens.
3-point basket,
Marta Morales knocks down a triple.
Her first points of the season. Smith, the retreat dribble, didn't like what she saw on the inside. Dished on the inside, and there's the end one they wanted. Sam Brunelle.
Sam Brunelle is just a happy camper, if you will, right? She's worked on her conditioning. She said each game she feels like she's getting in better shape. There was a point in her Notre Dame career where she told me she was over 200 pounds.
Wow.
Now she's back down to about 185, and she feels great playing at this weight. She didn't want to lose any more because she does play in the post, and it makes sense. You got to have some muscle in there, and you know you want to see happiness in these players, and she's definitely exhibiting that being here at Virginia after graduating from Notre Dame.
Absolutely. At 21 points in their previous game, went 9 for 17. In double figures again. Blocking call. Someone's going to go against McLean. It's her third personal foul.
So Amir McLean has done a lot of things on the right side of the stat sheet today. And that's going to be an important role for her. And because she's long and athletic, she can rebound, she crashes the offensive glass, and she can put points on the board by running the floor and not Coach Mox doesn't have to run a play for her. She can get some stuff off her athleticism. Be a really nice role to watch her evolve in.
You said it, Deb. What Coach Mox was telling us about how this all works is each person understanding their role. Some players that started last season that may have to come off the bench, and understanding how they get the most out of each player. This early in the season, it's got to be impressive with that buy-in that she was alluding to. Sam Brunelle working away on the backside of the baseline, finds another 2. Sam Brunelle with 12 points. 4 players in double figures for Virginia.
Brunelle doing a nice job. Miscommunication by Wake. And when your player turns their head, you go to the basket.
Diebel sends it to Becker.
3-point basket.
Yeah, I think there's some good film for Wake Forest to break down because, you know, the film doesn't lie, but not all is lost here. There's still a work in progress.
So what are some things that you think they can build on after this game, though?
Well, I think they're going to have to rebound better, and their defense has to be a little bit better. I also think that they need to have others be willing to take on more accountability to score on the offensive end. I think Jules Spear is going to get junked up all season.
Yeah.
So she's got to be able to mentally be able to handle that. She tells us that she's built for this, that she's built for the double team and handling that. And I believe her. I believe that she is.
Shot 50% from the free throw line, just going back to Wake Forest. And something that they tip their hat on is really the rebounding aspect of things. They are +5 in that department in this game. But the turnovers didn't help. 21 turnovers. Gave up 26 points off of those turnovers as they get another one there.
Well, Wake Forest comes into the game with 60% of their baskets assisted, and they have 14 assists on 16 baskets. But they've missed a lot of shots, and they only have 15 offensive rebounds. So I think space, cutting, all the things that Coach Jebbia wants her team to play in that style. I think that's all evolving. It's still evolving, and they still have a schedule in front of them. They're going to play Mercer next. Now that's no joke. I mean, Mercer is picked to win the SoCon. Susie Gardner has been multiple Coach of the Year, and they've won consecutive back-to-back-to-back Southern Conference championships where they've played in the NCAA tournament, and she's got some guards.
And the Cavalier faithful are on their feet because their team is now going to be able to move on to 3-0. Virginia only won 5 games last year. And now they have been able to put things together to get their first ACC win. So 4 players finished with double figures. Lawson with 15. And they get the 72-52 20-point win over Wake Forest.